Meghan McCain is back on TV, and she does, and she's going to do what she does best, and that is whine.
You are targeted if you're the token conservative, and you are treated differently. And it's been interesting having my book excerpt released today, because people just really don't seem to be surprised at all. But there is validation in hearing it from my mouth, and I felt like it was really time for me to show my story instead of having it through the lens of the liberal media and the liberal people who were leaking from internally on the show I worked on. And I felt like it was important for mothers to hear that it's okay. You don't have to put yourself or your pregnancies in a position where you could possibly have your health or your mental health put in a position of toxicity. And I decided to leave after I became a mother, and that was ultimately the game-changing moment for me.
Meghan, you even went as far as to say you felt like you'd been slapped, and you called the work environment, toxic, direct, and purposeful hostility. And none of that looked fun to me. And I can say, in complete honesty, I've had minor little skirmishes here and there with a few on-air talent, but nothing like this at all, ever, not even close. I mean, this is like a cancerous environment.
It's been difficult to open up to people like you, Sean, but I felt like it was important to say that there is real trauma that is involved when you are targeted and targeted and targeted for not voting for President Obama, for being a pro-life woman. And I don't think that people who go into liberal spaces, which is basically every other space except Fox News and media, I don't think you should be punished for it, and I don't think your personal life should be impacted. And that's unfortunately exactly what happened to me.
Wow. Okay, there's a lot to say about that. Oh, I can't believe I was treated so unfairly. Oh, look at the toxicity. It's so toxic. They treated me so poorly. I can't believe people would challenge me on my beliefs on a talk show that was set up to literally do that. Really? 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 Now, okay, so here's what she alleges, right? So this is the behavior that was so toxic, or at least part of the behavior that was so toxic at The View. When she returned from her maternity leave, this is what McCain had said. She said, "You missed me so much, Joy. You missed me so much when I was on maternity leave. You missed me so much. You missed fighting with me." To which Joey Behar responded, "I did not. I did not miss you. Zero." Oh no, oh my God. Wow, so toxic. Oh, so horrible.
Oh no!
Wow, oh, that wounded you deeply. In fact, apparently she said she cried. She felt like she got slapped, cried. She threw up in a bucket. Backstage, oh, it's so horrible. Oh my God. Here's the thing. I would probably say the same thing. I'm like, no, of course I don't miss you. No, not at all. I don't miss fighting with you for sure. But then, again, that's it, right? That's the toxicity. Really tame. Snowflake, sad baby. If you've ever, oh my God, God forbid that she ever, go on YouTube and look at some of the comments that we get. Holy crap. Terrible. And let me just say this, right? We all know toxicity exists everywhere. It's literally called humanity. They're just nasty people. And look, there are nasty people who are on the progressive side. There are nasty people who are on the liberal side. There's nasty people on the conservative side. Absolutely online. Sure. We could all admit that. But here's the thing. Conservative victimhood is super, super hypocritical. All right? Super hypocritical. And understand that it's because they do say and do some of the most horrible shit online. I mean, and not just online, by the way, in person as well. Again, it's not the liberals or progressives that are outside of abortion clinics or the Planned Parenthoods for women coming in. By the way, there's a lot of Planned Parenthoods that don't even do abortions, right? They just go there for example, health screenings, women's health screenings, reproductive screenings, cancer screenings, things like that. Even treatment that is unaffordable for a lot of women through our, healthcare system, they can get treatment either at a really reduced cost or even free from Planned Parenthoods. So they'll go there, and even if they had an abortion, who the fuck cares? It's not my place to say whether or not they can have an abortion or not. But again, a conservative says, no, it is my business what you do with your life and with your body, because that fetus, that developing fetus, is literally a part of your body until it can survive without feeding off your nutrients and your bloodstream, your blood supply, and your body, et cetera, et cetera. But no, they'll scream at those women going in there, baby killer, degenerate slut, horrible person. And by the way, some have even bombed abortion clinics. And so that's an example of how this translates into the real world. This horrible rhetoric that you hear from the right wing. Okay? And again, there's other stuff that's actually kind of amusing. Like, I don't know, I just get amused every time I hear, oh, liberalism is a mental disorder. Oh, yes. Yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah, sure. Like, that's ridiculous. But the thing is, again, the most damage that they do is towards marginalized communities. For example, the gay and transgender people, right? Constantly get attacked as pedos and rapists. They say horrible things about them. They say horrible things about immigrants. They're dirty. They're filthy. They're coming to take your job and rape your wife. They're going to do all these horrible things. And of course, their followers will then take that action into the real world and do violence against immigrants. I mean, we saw that during the pandemic. There was a gigantic spike in anti-Asian hate crimes as a result of conservatives saying Wu flu and, oh, it's the China flu and all this stuff, all this disgusting stuff, aimed at like people who didn't do anything. They didn't do anything wrong. They were Asian Americans being attacked as a result of people, these conservatives that will gin people up against Asians. And so that's the thing, right? There are literally people on the right that want trans and gay people dead. That's it, dead. Women who want bodily autonomy, either dead or in prison if they get an abortion. That's what they want. I'm sorry, but you don't get to claim to be pro-life if your beliefs are for the use of the death penalty, okay? You don't get to be pro-life when your policies throw people in prison for a plant. When your belief system rips food out of children's mouths because the mother happens to be poor. You don't get to do that without getting your ass called out. And that's understand, this is the big problem with people like Meghan McCain, right? Where she says, no. You can't call me out. You're not allowed. I am allowed to have my incredibly wrong, terrible opinion and not get challenged at all whatsoever. You know why? Because I'm a strong, conservative woman. And if you criticize me, you're sexist. Cancel culture. Cancel culture. They're canceling me. No, get over it. Get over yourself. Again, the argument here is, look, conservatives, we're willing to have discussions with you if your discussions are based in factual information. So here's the thing. I'm totally fine with having discussions, debates, and things if we can agree on objective reality. If you don't have objective reality, if we cannot agree in the basic tenets of the real world and facts, then we're not going to be able to have a discussion. Because we're talking, science, factual information, studies, etc., and you're talking gibberish. Well, you're arguing that your gibberish should be held as an equal viewpoint to factual information, and I don't believe that. And then when you say, no, I'm not going to have a conversation with somebody that's spouting nonsense gibberish, and I'm not going to treat that equally, suddenly we're doing cancel culture. Suddenly we're the bad guys, and we're stifling free speech. No, bullshit. Get the fuck out of here with that absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. And by the way, right, and you can have your opinions on things, you can feel certain ways about, we don't have any problem with that. But again, if you're going to have an argument, if you're going to engage in dialogue and conversation, then you need to back it up as with actual information here, and not lies and bullshit or your feelings. So let me give you an example of, by the way, when Meghan McCain made an outrageous lie in order to make a political point. Back in 2020, when there were some Black Lives Matter protests in New York. So she said she was in New York. She actually wasn't in New York, but she said, "My neighborhood in Manhattan is eviscerated. It looks like a war zone. Bill de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo are an utter disgrace." Now, I agree that Andrew Cuomo, absolute utter disgrace. This is not our America. Our leaders have abandoned us and continue to let great American cities burn to the ground and be destroyed. I never could have fathomed this. Now, burning to the ground. What city is burned to the ground? What city is burnt to the ground? Show me an example. No entire cities have burned to the ground. Okay, like somebody set an Arby's on fire. Oh my God. No, you shouldn't do that. Obviously, we're against that. By the way, you'll remember the video during the BLM protests where there was a riot that was happening, and there was a man with a red umbrella going out there just casually smashing windows. I remember reporting at the time, I don't know who this guy is. But I had the feeling that he was a provocateur. Turns out, later on, actually just probably last week, a report comes out that this guy is a member of a white nationalist group. Wow, shocker, surprise! Again, member of a right-wing group, doing provocation, being a provocateur, causing destruction and violence, so that then later on, right-wingers can blame it on BLM, Black people, Antifa, etc., etc. This is what they do. Understand, this is what they do. Now, back to Meghan McCain here, which, by the way, no city was destroyed. No entire cities was burnt down. All right? And in fact, her neighbor fact-checked her. Literally lived in the building next to her. In the same building as her. And said, "Meghan, we live in the same building, and I just walked outside. It's fine." No war zone. What is she talking about? Complete lies. Complete lies. But understand, like, if you fact check her, if you call her out for literally lying to your face, lying to the country to make some nonsense political point, that's toxicity. Now, that said, look, I've had my issues with Whoopi Goldberg, okay? And I've had my issues with Joy Behar, and some of the hosts being, not so nice to progressives. And for Whoopi Goldberg, openly hostile to progressives, blaming them for some of the problems. And I don't agree with that. But like, okay, you have your disagreements, right? And you call it out. Thing is, with people like Meghan McCain, if you call that out at all, you're being terrible, you're being toxic, because you're not kissing my ass and allowing me to lie outrageously. And that's the entire problem this year. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.